there's everything you need to know about your height. Apparently if you're 5'4", 5'5", you're cooked. You're done for. You are on the super short spectrum. If you're 5'9", apparently you're still short. Apparently anything under 6 foot is short. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Let's see everything you need to know about your height and what height you are. I don't know. Whatever height you are, go right now and comment right now what your height is.
Automatically. That pattern isn't random. The brain processes size quickly. Throughout evolutionary history, larger bodies often meant greater physical reach and force. That pattern became a shortcut. When someone is well below average height, the nervous system registers lower confrontation cost. The dominance signal is reduced. That changes how people behave around you. They test you faster. They interrupt sooner. They question decisions more directly.
Bro, this shit happens to me, and this shit happens to me. I'm not under 5'2".
Else happens at the same time. Because you don't trigger intimidation, people relax. They disclose more. They reveal more. They guard less. Underestimation becomes camouflage. Biologically,
they're quite literally naming every single thing that happens to me, even though I'm not 5'2".
Compact frames require less total energy to maintain. Smaller bodies require...
For everyone's information, I am 5'6".
fewer calories because total mass is lower. In environments where food supply fluctuated, lower energy demand increased long-term stability. Shorter limbs also mean movements often travel a shorter distance. In strength mechanics, that can translate into efficient force production in certain lifts. Historically, individuals who lacked physical intimidation often developed influence through strategy, alliances, negotiation, and social calibration. Power shifted from physical dominance to informational dominance. And that shift matters today. When authority isn't assumed, you learn to build it.
So basically, I just gotta become smart as fuck.
You refine
I would say I'm pretty smart. I would say I got a pretty good IQ.
Tone, you stabilize eye contact, you control pacing. The trade-off is that you may face more resistance at first. The advantage is precision, and precision builds credibility more reliably than intimidation ever can. 5'3" to 5'6". If you're in this range, you've probably noticed something subtle. You're not immediately overlooked, but you're not automatically given priority either.
That's what I'm saying.
You exist in a negotiation zone. The brain reads you as below average, but not extreme. As a result, perceived authority is softened, not eliminated. People don't assume authority, but they don't automatically dismiss you either. This creates sensitive balance. Your first signal matters more. If your posture weakens, perception shifts quickly. If your voice is steady and controlled, perception rises just as quickly. Biologically, this height range carries built-in efficiency advantages. Shorter arms...
So basically, if you are confident in yourself, when you're in this range, you're good, bro.
And legs mean the weight doesn't have to travel.
Which I feel like I'm pretty good in it.
Travel as far in exercises like squats or bench press, which can make strength movements more efficient. Acceleration in sprinting and rotation can feel sharper because the limbs move through a shorter distance. Smaller frames also require less total energy to maintain, meaning daily energy demands are lower than in larger bodies.
So that's why I got so much energy.
Historically, many agile combat styles and close-quarters strategies favored compact builds. Dominance was not imposed from above. It was executed through timing and proximity. The invisible rule here is this: your power is behavioral. Because your height doesn't decide the hierarchy automatically, your tone, decisiveness, and composure...
In this range, it basically just depends the person that you are. If you're like a little conceived, little person, you know, that's how people are going to perceive you. But if you're like good and confident in yourself, you're good.
Do. And when you master those signals, you often surpass individuals who rely purely on structural presence. The trade-off is that inconsistency costs you more. If your confidence or tone shifts, people adjust their perception of you quickly. The advantage is control. You can gain status rapidly when signals are clean. In this range, precision isn't optional. It's how you create stability. 5'7" to 5'10".
7 to 5 feet. That's basically 6 foot, is it not?
If you're here, something interesting happens. Your height rarely defines you. Your height has likely never controlled how the room sees you. And you've likely never experienced situations where your presence was judged by size alone. You are neutral, and neutrality is deceptive. In this range, people compare you to what feels typical. Humans naturally measure others against an internal idea of what normal looks like. When your height is close to that average, it stops strongly shaping perception. Your size doesn't dominate the first impression, your behavior does. In this range, the dominant signal settles into neutral, which means something important. You don't get structural advantages, but you don't get structural penalties either. That sounds ordinary. It isn't, because neutrality shifts all power into behavior. Your posture determines rank. Your pacing determines authority. Your decisiveness determines credibility. Biologically, balanced arm and leg length gives you well-rounded movement. You don't have major reach advantages, but you also don't deal with the extra joint strain that comes with very long limbs. Most tools, furniture, and spaces.
Like, bro, I'm not like super tall. Like, I can't obviously reach like the top of like shelves and stuff like that. But I feel like if I was any shorter, I'd probably like just want to kill myself. But if I was like any taller, like I feel like my height is good, bro. I feel like I'm not.
Are built around average body sizes, which means the world tends to fit you naturally. That reduces daily strain and unnecessary energy use. Historically, median height populations built institutions, armies, and labor systems optimized around average proportions. The world physically fits you. The invisible rule here is this: you don't have excuses. When nothing structural is working for you or against you, the result comes down to how you show up. The trade-off is that you can fade into the
This is basically an average height, is what they're saying.
background. Without something that sets you apart, you blend in. The advantage is flexibility. You can project authority or approachability without having to fight a strong stereotype. In this range, performance defines hierarchy. 5 feet 11 to 6 feet 2. If you're in this range, you've probably felt it. You're less likely to be interrupted immediately. You're more likely to be noticed and taken seriously at first glance. People are more likely to look to you when direction is unclear. That isn't coincidence. People are wired to associate height with capability. Throughout human history, greater size often meant greater physical reach and strength. Over time, the brain turned that pattern into a shortcut. When you're above average, the dominant signal is amplified. You receive credibility momentum. Biologically,
People look weird as fuck when they got long ass legs.
greater height
Especially short, or not short, especially skinny tall people.
reflects prolonged growth during development, resulting in longer limbs and a larger skeletal frame. Stride length increases. Reach extends. In many sports and physical activities, that added height improves spatial control and coverage without yet creating the structural strain seen at extreme heights. Historically, taller than average individuals have been disproportionately represented in leadership roles, not necessarily because height causes competence, but because height causes perception, and perception influences selection. The invisible rule here: you start ahead, but you're judged harder. Because expectations are higher, hesitation feels louder. When you don't display decisiveness, the gap between expectation and behavior becomes obvious. The trade-off
They're using a lot of big words, dude. I'm like low-key struggling to keep up.
is pressure. The advantage is that authority is granted more quickly. When you combine calm composure with real competence, credibility builds faster than it does for someone whose height doesn't influence perception. When height slightly amplifies your presence, strong execution has a greater impact. 6 feet 3
But
to
6'2"
6 feet 5. If you're this tall, you don't enter rooms quietly. You shift them. The brain processes size instantly. Throughout human history, larger bodies signaled
I could attest to this. I got a friend that's like 6'4". You can be like, he's tall, bro.
greater physical capacity and higher confrontation cost.
When he walks in the room, bro, he's tall as fuck. So like everyone's just staring.
That association still operates beneath conscious
not wrong.
awareness. In this range, perceived dominance increases significantly. People are less likely to test you. They challenge you more cautiously. They hesitate before pushing back. Physically, longer limbs extend reach dramatically. In sports that reward vertical advantage, that reach becomes a clear asset. Stride length increases, spatial coverage expands. But greater length also means greater strain. Longer limbs place more stress on joints under heavy load.
Damn.
What begins as advantage becomes specialization, powerful in the right context, demanding in others. Historically, taller individuals were often positioned at the front of formations or used as visible symbols of strength. Height carried symbolic
so they were
authority
everybody's shield, bro.
long before modern institutions existed. The invisible rule here: intimidation is automatic, but intimidation reduces openness. Unless you intentionally project warmth, approachability decreases. The trade-off is emotional distance. The advantage is quiet authority. You don't need to speak loudly to command attention. Composure alone can carry weight. In this range, power is restraint. The less you push for dominance, the more natural it appears. 6'6" and above.
6 feet, bro. 6 feet. I think I met a dude who was like 6'7". I think he's like 6'7" or 6'8".
If you're here, you're not average. You are rare. And humans are wired to track rarity. What's operating here is rarity detection. Throughout human history, extreme traits signaled either unusual strength or unusual risk. The brain still reacts quickly to anything far from average. When you're this tall, your presence is amplified beyond neutral. You are remembered, whether you perform well or not.
That's true, bruh, because I only remember that dude because he was tall as fuck, and this was like years ago. Dude, this is like, that ass like 4 years ago.
Rare traits more vividly. Interactions with you tend to stick. Physically, reach and stride advantages become pronounced. Coverage expands dramatically, but the structural demands increase as well. Longer limbs place greater stress on joints under heavy load, which means recovery and conditioning require more intention. Historically,
so basically you can't be a fat sack of shit. You gotta actually get up and do some exercise.
Individuals of exceptional height were often mythologized, feared, admired, or used symbolically. Extreme stature naturally attracts narrative. The invisible rule here, you don't get neutral reactions. People attach stories to you automatically. The trade-off is projection pressure. The advantage is automatic attention. When attention is built in, perception becomes your main lever. If you manage it with calm control, your height amplifies every signal you send. When rarity is present, strategy determines whether it isolates you or elevates you. If you learned something new today, make sure to subscribe.
I still feel like, honestly, according to literally everybody else in the world, apparently, if you're 5'6" and below, you're fucking cooked, bro. You're donezo. As a dude, you're fried chicken. But anything above that, you're good. You're average height. You're chilling. So me, I'm like 5. I don't know if I'm 5'6" or 5'5". I'm one of the two, bro. But I'm basically cooked. But fuck it, bro. What I lack in height, I gain in personality. That was weird. I don't know why the fuck I did that. Brian, don't ever stick your tongue out. Why did I do that? I'll catch you on the next one. I'm gonna go. Peace.